had the best regular season record of any professional team this year. And now they're in this stage, the #2 seed in this quarterfinal match.
And there's a few things I really want to hit on in the pick and ban phase. I love the Elise ban from EDG because Peanut really crushed on that jungler towards the end of the group stage. I also expect more jungle bans to follow. I think Elise and Nidalee are big bans for EDG, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Rox ban Syndra because of the mid lane pressure that could have for Scout.
And that's kind of the unique thing that Rox Tigers get the flexibility of, is that 2 jungle bans is almost always the norm against this team. In 2016, Peanut is 12-0, undefeated Nidalee, 25-2 on Elise. They so often first pick one of those 2 champions if they're available. EDG's done their research, but on the analyst desk, they were talking about the Rek'Sai point as well, and Rox Tigers banning it away on blue. It's a champion they kind of default to, but not one they find big success on.
Yeah, to me, the fact that Rox first picks the jungler actually goes to show how important it is that Peanut can dictate the flow for this team. Most teams try and play League of Legends through vision control and pressure in the mid lane and then work outwards. But the Rox Tigers actually have a mid laner who absorbs pressure. They put Peanut on an aggressive jungler and they try and win through the top and bottom lane and then collapse that pressure to the mid lane. So these picks and bans make a decent amount of sense coming in here. Double jungle ban, no Kennen ban, which surprises me, and a first pick Caitlyn.
I really like the first pick Caitlyn. That's actually the pick that H2K used to so much success against EDG twice on the last day of groups, beat them also in that first seed match as well. It feels like EDG have gone laning focused. Why they've played Nami 5 out of 7 games, going for that laning power. Not many AD carries, not even many duos can stand up to the Caitlyn.
Yeah, and I do also think, though, because of the final Jhin ban, they were kind of hoping that Rox would go with the bottom lane like that, because the trade back power of being able to get Ryze and Olaf, 2 often banned champions as we progress later on in this tournament, especially when you have a triple ban in the jungle already, is relatively valuable for EDG.
And one thing I love about Worlds is every year, tournaments become sleeper picks and become higher and higher priorities throughout the weeks to come. Zyra has been picked now, 5 games in a row in the quarterfinals. This lane-dominant bottom lane sort of style, right? The first pick, Caitlyn, the Zyra to go aside next to it. The 2 longest range auto attackers you could pick for these roles, and it's Rox Tigers hoping to completely push out and smash this bottom lane.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Zyra versus Karma support matchups yesterday. I think the trend will come over here as well. Karma gives Ezreal some pushing ability, the Mantra Q, for example, onto the minions. So they've gone for Ezreal Nami so many times and lost with it frequently. At least Karma has the shove that Nami does not.
Yeah, and also Karma has a little bit more poke potential if you can weave the Qs through the plants. The rest of this draft phase will be really interesting, though, because we already have the Ryze in the mid lane for EDG, meaning they are going to counter pick for their emergency sub, and they leave Rox a lot of freedom with their solo lanes right now.
You see the most pressure top laner you can select in the Jayce. A lot of kill pressure, a lot of push pressure, perhaps a Rumble to stand up to it. It looks like we might actually see Kuro consider that, even though it's not in his traditional wheelhouse. That information, very outdated, 6-month-old information on Kuro.
Exactly. Kuro hasn't been playing for EDG, but it's not like he hasn't been playing League of Legends and keeping up with what champions he should be picking in the top lane. Rumble can actually shove Jayce in the very early levels, but after Jayce gets some magic resistance, you lose kill pressure, and it becomes more of a team fight pick. So hasn't locked it in yet, though.
Exactly, and you were talking about tournament metas, Phreak, even series meta, because what we see from Kuro is he often reaches for these new picks. Sometimes, like the Victory, innovates them, but frequently, we saw his attempt at Syndra early in this tournament, wasn't convincing. He's played 1 game ever on Aurelion Sol back in the LCK, wasn't convincing. So if he can actually start to draw bans on Aurelion Sol, on those champions, not like his Victor, for example, that is much more well known for, that pinches the ban pool even more for EDG.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how effective his Aurelion Sol is, because he was one of the first players to actually pick it in Korea, but it didn't become one of his mainstay picks. It does have the potential to solve the problem of them not having strong mid lane control. Because Aurelion Sol can shove up so quickly and then look to roam, it can be effective, but it's dangerous if Peanut cannot get the proper ward control for Kuro's mid lane.
And let's consider the effective champion pool usually of Kuro. Victor and Varus, wave clear but not necessarily roam champions. We do not often talk about Kuro and Peanut roaming as a duo, so the question mark remains, will this be a good fit for the Rox Tigers draft?
Always going to be a question that they can answer with their gameplay to get a shot of the wonderful crowd here in Chicago cheering on which teams they want to win. And I got to say, some phenomenal camera shots here. So We are getting ready now for game 1 of our 3rd quarterfinal match. The right to play SK Telecom T1 in the semifinals. And people in the stands and people at home can cheer on your favorite team. Make some noise on Twitter or here in the stands. Hashtag Rox win, hashtag EDG win for which squad you want to come out on top. Is it going to be the #1 team from South Korea or the #1 team from the Chinese LPL to get ourselves in?
Yeah, and you can actually see a fair number of EDG signs in the crowd. That team actually travels quite well as far as their fan base. But looking at these team compositions very early on in the game, the worry for EDG is that they're not going to have enough pressure in their lanes. Rox Tigers have managed to pick a very strong bottom lane, a pushing mid lane, and once he gets a few levels, a pushing top lane. And that'll make it very difficult for ClearLove to make things happen on Olaf.
I think that's so important, Jatt, because the Olaf in particular has been best used with pushing lanes, early invades, say, stealing away a blue buff from a jungle that's been trying to pass it off at level 4. I feel like if you're getting pushed in, Olaf's just power farming. He's not as strong. It's all about the skirmish with Olaf, so they'll need to really find some lane pressure to really facilitate Olaf at its maximum capacity.
And the way this game goes is really going to tell us a lot about the rest of the series, because at least during the group stage, EDG didn't really seem to have a true identity. The biggest example of that was that ClearLove played 7 different junglers in the 7 games he played. Olaf, now the first jungler he has repeated to play at Worlds.
And then you talk to analysts and they're like, wow, Rox looked like themselves 2 games right at the end of the group stages. No coincidence. First picking Elise in both of those games. The ultimate comfort. 27 games on Elise from Rox Tigers this year already.
And of course, you saw Edward Gaming ban away those favored Peanut champions, the Elise, the Nidalee, the things that he has such an amazing win rate on. And the question really does come up, are we going to see the last 2 games Rox Tigers or the entire first week and a half Rox Tigers? And the same for EDG. This is a squad that dominated China and then lost to EU LCS's #3 team to take the #2 seed out of the group. And the real question is, which form of these 2 teams shows up today?
I mean, the simple storyline is which sleeping giant wakes up today, because both these teams were supposed to go far, but only one will make semifinal.
And you can already see the battle over wave pushing in this bottom lane. Meiko's been very accurate with his Qs, so the first wave actually clears at the same time, but you still expect the Zyra and the Caitlyn to be able to shove out. Whoever can get level 2 first may actually get the advantage in this lane. Let's track it.
We've even seen Gorilla hope for some fortunate plant spawns. The passive actually can be really important in very tight matchups like this. No fortunate seeds, and as this 3rd minion drops, both teams get level 2.
Away. The other thing we have to point out, we didn't see it in the mid lane, but Kuro actually did go and steal away a Raptor from that camp, which is going to delay ClearLove's jungle experience a little bit. And they also got a ward in the red buff of ClearLove. So when he goes to do that camp, it's going to allow Prey and Gorilla much more freedom with the way they play the lane, because they will have knowledge of where ClearLove started and where he is.
And that's going to be happening right now as he crests into the red buff, and then Rox Tigers says, hey,
bottom out.
Olaf is top lane, bot lane completely free to push with impunity, and Smeb, just be careful you don't push too hard because there is an Olaf near you.
And that's just one of the many reasons Aurelion Sol can be so effective. It's almost impossible for Ryze to prevent that ward from being placed early on in the game, unless ClearLove were to have started on the red side and gone for a gank when he does Raptor camp, which obviously didn't happen. Olaf, most of the time, starts blue buff.
So with Kuro in the lineup, a lot of question marks were raised about, will this change EDG? Because Mouse's performance, of course, wasn't of the highest caliber at World.
Going for the play, he's going to land the root onto Kuro inside the minion wave.
Mana.
Couple more shots get landed, one more auto attack, and that is Ghost down, but a lot of health gone from Kuro.
Just to finish the point on Kuro, the big thing was they weren't playing around top lane when they had Mouse in the lineup. Would they adjust it? Rumble does push in early, is at pressure of ganks, but for now, that phase has been skipped for EDG.
Just got to see how they play their way through this mid game. You're seeing a small gold lead for Rox Tigers. A lot of it you're seeing in the top lane matchup. Already 27-17 here with Smeb over Kuro. And Scout forgot that that got warded in the previous fight.
Yeah, I actually don't like the fact that Scout's had his recall interrupted twice, because I think it's fairly avoidable. Something that was completely non-existent when Rox has picked mid lane dominant picks in the past, like when they played Syndra, was the mid lane vision control. But they've actually fixed that, at least early on in this game. Look at the vision control in the river. Pink ward in the brush, normal wards over top of the brush in multiple lanes, not to mention they already have some brushes warded. So this makes it very difficult for ClearLove to make anything happen.
And Senpai was always respected as a really innovative coach, especially in picks, mid lane Nautilus, other craziness that came out, especially in 2015. I like that we're seeing some in-game adaptation because when you're researching for Rox Tigers, the team playing around Kuro, especially in the early game, as never really one of your top 10 concerns when you're facing this team.
But instead you're seeing them play around their stronger side, and coming into this matchup, you expected Smeb to be one to bully around Kuro. Smeb, again, two-time LCK MVP. Even when Rox didn't win, he was still the most voted MVP player. Coming in, was he the best player in the world coming into the World Championship? So far, he has not played like the literal best player in League of Legends, but now up against someone who did not even play a game during the summer split, and he is blasting this lane open.
Yeah, and it's fairly early as well, before they've even been able to go back to shop. The laning phase for Smeb in the group stage was much below his expectations, for sure. He had a lot of uncharacteristic deaths, and then was still able to transition to team fights, but you expect more from Smeb, and now Kuro decides to stick around. Pretty dangerous without vision control, but with Peanut on the bottom side of the map, it's most likely going to be saved.
You are seeing these mid laners trade back and forth. Of course, a moderate minion deficit right now for Scout in the mid lane after losing those 2 recalls and being late back to lane, but it's still Rox Tigers, the squad that's playing more aggressively, finding the plays. Peanut right now in the fog of war, and Meiko is like, do I want to check this? Gets away from the root, and he's fine.
And a little bit lucky to be fine, actually, because you saw the vision toggle there. They have very little control of this map right now after EDG, and this was the fear after this draft phase where multiple lanes for EDG are getting pushed into the turret, which doesn't buy them the time to get vision control anywhere that's necessary. And ClearLove now isn't necessarily spotted, but Rox is hunting.
Walk into 2, just kidding. Around the side he goes, gets the double slow.
He ghosts away.
Yeah, actually burns a ghost summoner spell for that. He doesn't even have boots, so getting away would be hard otherwise.
That's actually pretty big summoner to blow at level 5, soon to be level 6. The Ragnarok ganks at 6 have been super common as the trading continues in mid for now. We're getting pressured out. We've only seen him shop once, I'm sure. Another shop coming in for Kuro.
And you're seeing how close these 2 mid laners are actually fighting. Both mana pools are getting dangerously low over and over. Kuro is hard shoving and then recalling. This is, I think, his 3rd recall now. He got once back for boots, once for the Darksteel, now for boots too as well. But Scout's also constantly running out of mana, and these blue buffs are incredibly important to hand over because imagine Scout had a full mana pool. He could have forced a flash at a Kuro possibly.
Yeah, the one thing you want Peanut and Kuro to actually do more of is try and get vision control towards that 7-minute respawn of the blue buff, because that is a potential way of shutting down Scout. As of now, though, since Scout's gotten the blue buff, he's looking for a play. Do they realm warp in, or do they walk? Also a gank top side.
All right, double sides, the flash knockback. Here's the ward hop in, the kick as well. Lands the Sonic Wave. That's first blood in for Peanut. Meanwhile, Prey has to do just that. He's running, gonna have ClearLove. Ash gonna lose his life. A kill in for Prey. Rox Tigers still not saying die. Finally, the kills come through for Scout. 2-2 overall, but Kuro is not done. Voice of Flight tags Meiko, flash the chase in. He's gonna try to get some of them, but they're inside the orbit. They're not taking any damage. He finally gets one and gets away with it. Kuro makes it 3-2, Rox Tigers.
And such a close series of events right there. The gank top was golden, but that just allowed EDG safety with their gank bottom, and Kuro was a little bit late to the roam. So close to being a triple kill for Scout, which could have had huge implications over the game, but as they trade it back, it ends up actually being a 2-for-2 bottom side and a positive play top side.
Might actually see some more information. So far, Jayce is staying top. We don't have the vision toggle just yet. There he is.
Kuro does have flash. Does he use it?
Peanut is around. Kuro gonna go for the 1v2. Plenty of damage to deal to the Rox Tigers jungler. And at least he trades it back. That's the best it could have been right here. Kuro burns his flash for no avail, but at least trades a kill back.
And quite critical, actually, that both of those kills have gone to Peanut. So even though Smeb does get an experience edge, he's not going to completely slingshot him in gold. Only 400 gold. Could be much worse for Kuro.
See another push in. You're seeing and hearing the crowd chant for EDG. Their fans are here in attendance, hoping to cheer on their region's #1 team. And what is a close game so far?
This is the bot lane gank. It was actually the realm walk. Very smart to actually put it behind the turret. They knew they were going for a dive. 4 men committed to the bot side. We already saw the kill in top. ClearLove actually doesn't use Ragnarok to start.
Yeah.
Ends up taking an extra turret shot he didn't need to. This could have actually been better for EDG.
I feel like ClearLove misplayed that. He should have been running in with Ragnarok over top of the trap, but then Scout flashes out of the ultimate from Kuro, and a lot of shields come through all across the board. Deft doesn't stick for the last auto attack because he was afraid an orb plus a turret shot would kill him, but he most likely could have finished that kill onto Kuro.
And Scout himself actually picked a different combo from what he could have on Ryze. He put 2 spells in between the overload to grant himself a shield, but he wasn't the one taking damage, so he missed an overload to shield himself from damage that never came in his way, and that kill would have gone through probably before Meiko would have died.
And because of the repeat gang top, obviously not ideal to trade 1-for-1 in the second half of it. Smeb did actually get to push the minions in. He did get the advantage of Kuro using his teleport to return to lane, so the CS difference up top has grown, and Jayce can run away with the lane against Rumble.
I actually feel like this entire Rox team has the potential to run away with the game if Smeb and Kuro get the mid-game power spike and then transition to a lot of turret dives like Rox is known to do when they're at their best. EDG does still have to hold on. They're 1,000 gold now. They need to hold on for a lot longer.
I mean, it's 1,000 gold, and they have to hold on because of the itemization. We didn't even touch on it, but double tier to start the game from Ryze and Ezreal. Very old power trough that's been well covered, but still a relevant one here. So they're spending their gold in items that will pay off later. We haven't seen the Rod of Ages yet either, so the window for EDG is around 25 minutes.
Wow, and look at that top lane turret already dead below 11 minutes. There's a quick 1,100 gold for the team. Rox Tigers ballooning now to 2.4 thousand ahead. Really, really significant lead for this squad.
And we also wondered how ClearLove would attempt to play around that top side. Even though Mouse struggled in his games in the group stage, ClearLove actually spent a decent amount of time kind of trying to rescue that lane. Here, ClearLove does walk up right at the very end, but only as the turret falls, and he spent his time elsewhere. So this is the strategy they're trying to go for. They're going to try and deal with Smeb and Peanut, trying to feast on Kuro, who's on his own, and try and win the rest of the map. So far, hasn't worked out great. They have gotten 2 kills for Scout, which I think is very beneficial. And honestly, EDG could have had a much worse start than this. I think they should be happy with the top lane going down, but Scout having 2 kills.
And look, EDG famously bot lane focused, especially in the LPL, all about ClearLove, setting up Deft and Meiko, who either get their own advantage or get snowballed from the jungler. Very important to say that against a Caitlyn lane, for once, they're actually in a good spot. They got the gank, they got the preferential backs. The Karma adaptation means they can have the wave in the right spot. And in general, they are keeping ahead of Rox Tigers and even canceling a back cheekily as well.
Nicely done. 8 seconds bot right there. As Prey's gonna have to delay his run back. Looks like ClearLove was able to last hit the Scuttle Crab in the bottom river. Fought Peanut for that and did a better job. So a few small games for Edward Gaming, but it's still 2K deficit.
Yep, the 2K deficit, and that's what Rox is going to try and punish right now. Even though Deft does have a CS advantage in the bottom side, Scout's yet to really complete any of his major items. Ryze still pretty powerful with just the Tier and the Catalyst, to be completely fair, but the Drake is going to be where Rox looks to make their big advantage. Rox doesn't necessarily have a good tank line in this game, but they have enough damage that if they can draw EDG toward the Drake, that's when I expect them to pounce.
Peanut soling out the Drake in this situation. The numbers for Rox are really interesting. We saw at the start of the game, 10 minutes, they're negative 700 gold, which not a great deficit. Peanut's probably going to have to duck out the back here. To 15 minutes, it goes to negative 75 gold. They continue to poke around the Drake. But from 15 to 20, there's actually a 1,200 gold shift. And we're coming towards that 15-minute mark. From there, it's consistently, Rox have got ahead.
Mid-game still looks pretty good. Teleport coming in.
Very late TP, EDG must want to fight.
Here could be the fight. Peanut's rooted up. Nearly goes down. Struggle to buy some time. The knockup comes through in a flash to get Peanut to safety. The chase still for Edward Gaming. Can they get the damage they need? Looks like not. Rox Tigers take the Drake, get away, and save the TP, of course, for Smeb. So that's an advantage they also get.
A little surprising on the set of events that happened right there is EDG were a little bit late to pull the trigger going in there. Kuro teleports as the Drake falls, so Rox doesn't have anything left to fight over, and they use the acceleration gate from Jayce to disengage. Pretty close on a lot of those fights, and they actually end up burning 4 to 5 summoners defensively to get away from that.
But I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Kuro was known for teleport when he was playing, but again, has been out of the competitive scene for a long time. There is going to be those teething problems, especially in game 1. There's scrim comms and there's stage comms. And for here, we're seeing a little bit of a discrepancy between the two for EDG.
And speaking of discrepancies, I love how these teams are kind of approaching the game. Edward Gaming putting a lot of their focus on the bottom lane. They have the entire tournament. Of the 7 games, not counting this one they've played so far the tournament, 6 of those, the first turret they killed was bot lane. Deft is the damage shared leader of all AD carries here at Worlds. That is about this AD carry on Edward Gaming. Meanwhile, Rox Tigers are tunneling pretty hard on getting Smeb ahead. Peanut's ganks have been up there, 2 of their kills. This is the first time Rox have taken top lane turret as their first turret the entire tournament.
I mean, analysts across the world were scratching their heads with both Rox and EDG in groups, but this is definitely the one where like, okay, my research pays off. Turns out you want to get Smeb ahead, and it turns out that EDG want to get Deft and Meiko ahead. Finally, League of Legends makes sense. It's taken quite a long time at Worlds, but so far so good in this series.
Yeah, and even if you look at this game, you also have to wonder which lane is EDG thinking they're going to be able to kill first. After the draft, assuming the game plays out in a normal fashion, Rox almost always takes the first turret in this matchup. EDG need to make sure it's just that one turret and keep it pretty close so that they can win team fights, because that's what they've drafted for here with the Ryze and the Rumble. And so far, 2,000 gold is not that bad, really, when I keep saying it, considering the early game laning of Rox.
In the late game, Rox need to be ahead because this is a team that wants to have pink wards down, catch someone when they're coming. Because if they try to face check and put down a ward, maybe Lee Sin has a tricky ward hop to get out. But otherwise, they're so squishy that putting down counter vision when they're behind, there's a gold deficit 30 minutes in. Their options to actually fight over objectives are limited. They are truly a pure damage, pure pick team.
That is true. There's kind of limited tank options. You're even seeing Peanut's build actually focus on a Hex Sprinker second item to go with his Warrior Enchant, so it's really not a big front line here for Rox Tigers, and you know Ryze and Ezreal can cut through those champions.
I mean, Peanut only ever has the attack damage and ability power tabs open on his shop. He doesn't know anything about tank. This guy's never bought Locket on Elise. Full damage at all points, and he sticks with the Lee Sin as well.
Looking for the root, doesn't quite land it there onto Meiko. Karma's able to run away. Deft the shield, and the snipe not going to mean too much. Good Arcane Shift to get away with it.
Yeah, Deft, a very good mechanical player. Always expect him to wait to Arcane Shift until you've thrown your skill shot, and then instead of just blindly shifting away, he will actually look at the direction of your skill shot to make sure he shifts away from it. So expertly done right there. Also, EDG have completed the Rod of Ages. They're hoping for the Muramana transform around 20 minutes, and then they'd be hitting their power spike. If they can synchronize that with Leandry's before they get snowballed on, it would be very good for them. But Rox does not want to give them time.
Nice aggression from Rox Tigers already surrounding on this bottom outer turret, but the minion wave is cleared away thanks to Deft's True Shot Barrage. If he hadn't cast that, the turret probably would have fallen, but that was still just one roam from Kuro. He might revisit on the next wave, and it might go down soon.
Little intriguing item point. It is actually an Infinity Edge straight up rushed by Prey. It isn't BF's sword pickaxe into a Hurricane, which means that Caitlyn's going to be going mid and matching wave clear. The advantage here is that Ghost Flash Aurelion Sol, if he's in the mid lane, can reach top and bot so quickly that it's actually nice to have him outpush Ryze and go across the map rather than be anchored to bot and top, at least for now, 17 minutes in.
Absolutely agree. There's a lot of dynamic plays possible for Rox Tigers here, and so far they have held onto this 2,000 gold lead ever since they got that top lane turret down, and with that outer turret gone, there's not much else to pressure. They've got to find other parts of the map to push, but they're finding that their opponents here, the opposition, a bit stronger, you might say. Scout doing pretty well for himself, actually has gotten a minion kill lead back, but now he's looking for top lane tier 2, forcing the early flash out of Kuro. He ults to kill the minion wave, not knowing that he's just going to die himself. That's going to be a kill put through, but he will save the turret for now and buy time for the rest of the team to do something else, maybe.
Yeah, Kuro really underestimating the damage there of Smeb and Kuro as they fly in right there. The ult, if placed more on himself, potentially could have kept him alive, and Peanut was even there to prevent anyone else from EDG collapsing during that dive. Rox have really taken control of that side of the map.
It's a nice way to win a game. Play to your strengths, make sure nothing else goes badly, and continue to knock that down. If it weren't for the equalizer, the turret probably would have fallen. You watch this gank again.
I mean, watching this replay, it feels like he could have layered it on the minion wave because you want to pick up some minions even if you die, and also to dissuade a dive. But either he gave in or just misjudged the situation completely. Was blown up when Jayce goes as offensive as these no-tier Jayce builds allow. The more Malmortius into Black Cleaver doesn't take many shots to kill someone.
Thankfully for Kuro, Rumble is pretty useful even if he doesn't have many items. The Leandry's Torment, the really core one that you need in that champion, and he'll at least be useful, but the problem is it is still a point of pressure that Rox continue to push at and gain advantages from.
Yeah, I do want to mention, though, that it's still just the one turret down for the Rox Tigers. The game is teetering on a knife's edge right here. If Rox is able to take down these 3 outer turrets, it's going to be a gargantuan gold lead that I don't think EDG will be able to overcome in teamfights. But if they keep this up and they get a good Realm Warp in, they have a chance.
Look for the play on the bot lane. Gorilla running out of health rapidly. The first kill going to come through, and Olaf is just running out of HP. He's going to shift out of this one and run for your dear life. Kuro finishes the teleport to buy some time for the rest of his team. Will they get much going on, though? Looks like the chase still continuing as Rox Tigers really want some more kills. Meiko eats a cupcake. Eagles comes back in towards Peanut, but Kuro taking all of his life and damage, gonna get dropped down for it. He turns around and gets killed for the transgression, and it's a 1-for-0 Rox Tigers coming out ahead.
Really not impressed with ClearLove's Olaf right there. With a few better axe throws and auto attacks, that would have been a dead Zyra at the start of that fight. And then the turnaround does show the rust of them playing with Kuro. The equalizer comes in. While it was good to have it, he then gets caught up in Gorilla's snare, who should have been dead at the start of the fight. So a misplayed fight there by EDG cost them.
And you can't excuse lack of Ragnarok initiation on the turret dive either. Rox looking for more than just the turret.
Gonna land the Q, the flash and chase, the slow into ClearLove, the kick into the wall, the kill comes through to Kuro with the orbiting stars, and more comes through for the Rox Tigers. Now a Deft stun's gonna land. Double kill for the mid laner. One more chase for Smeb. Actually gonna run away from this one. Doesn't want it out of the turret, and wisely gets away in time, but there's plans to tank. There's a minion wave here. This turret could go down.
And this is vintage Rox Tigers turning on the acceleration. No Jayce pun intended. After 15 minutes, up to 5,000 already. Second turret taken on this push. This is what Rox Tigers did so well in LCK Summer, and it's a pleasure to see them back on the Rift in this fashion.
Yep, the knife's edge we were talking about, the game just fell off of it because Rox has a huge lead right now, 6,000 roughly, and a Drake that they should be able to take because they've taken so much control of the bottom side. We're going to watch this one more time.
What is it with Rox members escaping on low health with no one just wanting to finish off kills?
ClearLove threw his axe too far initially, could not pick it up, and then did not have an axe to execute Gorilla. Now keep in mind, Gorilla's still in the back of the fight. He should be dead right now, assuming proper play, as EDG is retreating. So they retreat into the turret. Peanut doesn't get the ultimate down, and then Kuro thinks, okay, time to turn it. He moves up, then gets caught by the grasping roots. Peanut can then execute him there. This fight could have actually been much different with different execution from EDG. But Rox, always the ones to execute properly, have to give them the credit. They turn the game in their favor.
From Rox is still something a little different, guys. That's what we have to talk about. Is that SKT ran this comp a lot. These Jayce top, they look great with it 3-0 in the group stage. But Rox haven't been running these kind of delicate comps. They're more known to throw themselves for kills, as we saw in that replay, as we saw in the last passage, rather than ward up all their flanks and play really conservative League of Legends. This is not a conservative team, so the fact that they can close this out is still left up for debate. It's still a nice lead at 21 minutes.
And good, but there's always a chance for the comeback. We can see mid lane outer going down as well, and that makes it 4-0 in turrets with, again, that 6,000 gold lead. Edward Gaming, during the replay, was able to pick up that Cloud Drake for themselves. Rox Tigers chose to reset and not go for the objective, so there's some things for EDG here. And as PapaSmithy is saying, there is always some risk with a bunch of squishies. Maybe it does fall over.
Correct. The squishies are a concern for the Rox Tigers, but unlike some other compositions that are full of damage dealers, this is a spectacular sieging team that the Rox Tigers have put together. We've seen the combination fairly often of Aurelion Sol, who I consider a setup champion, and Prey, who I consider a carry champion. So when they sit outside of a turret with the traps, as well as the Aurelion Sol orbs flying around, as well as the Zyra, the ability to engage and stop that siege is really low by the other team because they essentially would be engaging into exactly what Rox wants them to.
And they don't have the cannon, right? That's famous for those flank engages, the lightning rush, and the ultimate. They really have the Ryze Realm Warp as their realistic initiation. They've tried it a couple of times, gone a bit wide, and if we can see Gorilla ape what was done in the previous series by Wolf and his ability to control any sort of initiation, you just plan it down where you see the Realm Warp coming, and you're pretty safe, at least relatively so, for the Rox siege.
We might see that siege continue very shortly. It seems to be really nothing in Rox Tigers' way as they continue to push towards what might be a world championship title to them. They can knock down the rest of the teams in their way. Wave clear from Edward Gaming, gonna buy some time for now, but it's Rox Tigers' map to do whatever they want with, waiting for objectives to spawn, looking for turrets to kill, champions to assassinate as they send their various farmers across the map. Peanut gonna control topside jungle vision as it's gonna be Kuro pushing in that wave.
Yeah, and they're trying to make sure that all of their waves are pushing at the same time. Kuro being bottom is a slight concern for them, but Rox Tigers know when they should execute. They have a mid lane wave pushing right now, and watch the setup here. Aurelion Sol will probably be in the mid lane with the next wave, and then you'd want the Caitlyn to set up right there. But it was actually cleared away preemptively by EDG, and they're going to get the bottom side turret.
The turret might fall, but he's got company coming down. The Zyra and the Jayce played by Smeb here, looking to cut off Kuro 1, and he's got no teammates around him. So Smeb, how much CC is going to go for? Gets the acceleration, And that's going to be a nice flash to get away from to the skies. If he had landed that, he'd be slowed and the kill probably would have come through.
The one small gap in Rox's comp, talking again about the damage, is that Peanut has a locket, but he has no armor. So actually taking Baron, which is what you want to do, what would stop or force a teleport from Kuro, because they have complete control of the enemy red side jungle, for now is unrealistic, even though they have so much damage to actually take the Baron.
Yeah, I think the Zyra will help substantially for Rox when taking that Baron. The plants can take a lot of the hits, and that can help Peanut in that regard. But also, as far as setting up the sieges, I actually felt like Prey's trap line was too far back in that situation. He placed the traps at the fallen middle turret instead of in front of the interior turret on the mid lane side. All those traps have since been cleared away when Rox backed away, but if they set up that siege again, I would hope Prey actually places his traps further forward so they can take down the turret.
There's just never be breathing room for Scout to be bottom lane without teleport. Sure, Realm Warp is a quasi-global, but it doesn't get you to Baron Pit from bot, and Baron will become a realistic objective when we see, say, a Dead Man's Plate, or just some armor onto Peanut.
We'll see what these players can do right now. Rox Tigers have been controlling top river control pretty well. You recently saw Deft's True Shot barrage come through the Baron Pit to give them a brief glimpse of vision to put some wards down, and they say, well, we got enough top control. Let's go for the top lane tier 2. Not even a problem. No contest here for Edward Gaming, and that's 5 turrets now to 1. Rox Tigers once again hitting that 6,000 gold lead that they've maintained since the 20-minute mark.
And making it very difficult for EDG to find their way back in a game. This is also a team that does not give up, even if you fall back to the group stage. The game they played against AHQ towards the end, where if EDG would have lost, they would have been out of the tournament. They were facing a 10,000 gold deficit against that AHQ team, but were still able to pull the game back with some clutch team fights in the Baron Pit. So that is what EDG would be hoping for. Unfortunately for them, Rox Tigers much better with a gold lead.
Kuro, respecting the vision deficit there, says, yeah, skill shot. All right, juke around. Nice, thanks very much. Predicted it pretty well, but it's still Edward Gaming trying to claw back a very dark map. You see, ClearLove just put a ward down, but the problem is the pink ward in that pit, so all someone has to do is walk in that little circle, and the ward goes away once again. Prey gonna grab his red buff, and it looks like Rox Tigers have all the tools they really need. Next Drake spawns in 40 seconds.
Yeah, EDG have kind of been inching wards towards the Baron. They've never really been in a position to put wards down. A second Mountain Drake, and again, we creep closer to Rox, just DPSing down a Baron instantly. So a good Drake spawn for Rox Tigers, the second Mountain.
Absolutely. Double Mountain is super great in the late game. Really helps closing these out. And the Rox Tigers didn't need any of the earlier game focused ones like an Ocean Drake to get through the laning phase and smash these things open. So based on the way the game is already going, I gotta say that feels pretty good for them. Once again, mid lane gonna be cleared away, and we once again check their lane assignments. No one right now contesting Kuro. He gets to shove the top lane out, and no one stopping ClearLove and Co from clearing the mid lane wave because Rox Tigers care more about the Drake.
And I think EDG should be completely okay with Rox taking this Drake. This is standard play across the board. Rox is taking the bottom side Drake, which means EDG is going to attempt to steal on it, but basically use this time to reestablish some semblance of vision control around the Baron side, because ultimately if EDG is going to come back in this, it's going to be when Rox goes for the Baron.
Exactly. This exact play that is the hopeful beginning of an Edward Gaming comeback. They say, well, first of all, Scout facing Smeb, the nice flash into the knockback, flashed away from Aurelion Sol, Ghost Burned as well, Voice of Light flash. The damage is going to be enough. They try, they're not quite going to get it on a Scout, but how about a re-engage? Smeb running out of health, his flash is down, and Edward Gaming actually find a comeback kill. 45 seconds of 5v4. Can they get anything else for it?
I think it's unlikely that they get something for that, but it will definitely stall the game. This is the time where Rox should be reestablishing vision control on the Baron side of the map, but Smeb thinks he can get a kill because he expects Kuro to be able to make the roam, and it feels like Scout just baited him, and the rest of EDG came out of the base. Smeb went way too far without backup, and it cost him.
Yeah, it was overly hyphy, definitely. He missed the first EQ, which would have been the burst. They probably would have had the damage take him down there. Instead, they used everything. Even Kuro used double summoners to try to make that kill happen, so it buys some time for EDG. For now, no other damage, just Peanut dueling with Kuro.
He's got the teammates coming. Zyra just below, down on that side of the map. Aurelion Sol coming as well. That's that yellow orb on your screen. Kuro able to get away, not burning any summoners. And here's the rest of Edward Gaming. Smeb has teleport, and here's the re-engage. 2 members already picked off. Make that 3. Kuro doesn't even need the snipe. A double kill for Kuro in the mid lane for Rox Tigers. And that was a 5v4. Theoretically, Smeb wasn't really part of that fight, and it gets smashed.
What an absurd combo from Gorilla and Kuro there, catching the grasping roots. Now they turn for Baron. Smeb be damned, he fell down. The rest of Rox did a 4v5.
Double mountain, so easy. The fact that they turned, they realized that Rumble still had flash. Taking him down wasn't trivial. Turned on the other two members, and this is the team playing at their best. Clear communication between the 5 Korean players. It looked like Kuro was their only target, but when they saw the reinforcements, that's when they realized they could get more.
And to be fair, ClearLove just missed the Realm Warp when Scout was coming in, so that's why he's late to the fight. He actually doubled back towards the Realm Warp before getting there, but they Realm Warped straight into his Zyra, so they were all going to eat the CC anyway. Probably a fight where they should have just allowed Kuro to continue to run away and taken it as a 0-for-0. Rox then gets EDG for those kills.
And maybe a little bit of desperation, saying if we make the comeback, maybe it's got to be right now. Hopefully they overextended, and of course that was not the case. A better played team fight by Rox Tigers. They get Baron Nashor as well. It is a 9,000 gold lead. The #1 team from South Korea looking to balloon this even farther. Pressure on the final tier 2 turret in the bot lane.
And I'm super happy to see Gorilla adapting to one of these more squishy, ranged mage supports. His Bard at the start of summer season was unacceptable. Very poor, died frequently, 10, 11 deaths. He was actually the highest average death player in the whole of LCK for the first half of the season. But now he's playing the Zyra. I think he hasn't played since 2013, so bringing it back because it's in the tournament meta. And the fact that he could turn on an instant and get that double snare was great stuff from Gorilla.
Yeah, many of the Korean supports have looked great on Zyra this tournament in particular, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if Rox can close this game out decisively, because this is one of their most powerful windows. With the Baron, with the Aurelion Sol, trapping up the base, will Phreak be able to eat down this turret, and can they open up multiple inhibitors?
EDG not going to give him the chance just yet. Equalizer comes across and at least buys some time. Health bar is getting hit a little bit, but looks like Rox Tigers still okay getting the damage across the enemy champions they can, and healing up well enough. The next wave is probably just another siege.
He's just going to wait for Aurelion Sol to push up the bot wave and meet as well. Still has Baron buff, so those minions will come very soon. All 5 from Rox need to be there. They cannot afford to have Kuro looking for cheeky auto attacks on the bot lane turret because they are squishy. They can be zerged down.
They get poked down a little low with no Rumble ult and no Ezreal ult, though. The engage is less likely. Phreak took a lot of damage.
Phreak gets chunked, but Kuro goes into the mix, and ClearLove dangerously low as well. A lot of health bars looking to this point, but it's still no casualties on either side. A bit of chip damage still happened, and Rox Tigers feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, Peanut had to use ultimate defensively. Kuro has no health, so realistically, even though they probably would have got the turret on the next wave, the health bars weren't high enough for it to be safe. They just go back to really pushing up the map.
And I think it is the smart choice. When you're the team up 10,000 gold, getting closer to 50-50 in a team fight is the way you let the comeback happen. So they say, hey, a full minute left of Baron buff, reset, get back to the lanes, and it looks like Rox Tigers are still in complete control.
Especially if either Kuro or Peanut get taken out, it's very trivial to just mow down the rest. They need there to be some threat of tankiness or damage in the front line. Otherwise they're in trouble. Whoa!
There's the giant stun from base.
Not going to land the stun on anybody just yet, but ooh, is Peanut looking for the knockback, but not going to find it. Maybe overstepping. Jumps to a minion, running out of health pretty rapidly, but they don't quite have the damage output. Equalizer buys a little bit more time, and he's not quite going to burn down. Gorilla gets the kill into Kuro, and now it's Edward Gaming forced to retreat once again. ClearLove slowed down, chased out. Kuro is not going to be stopped. Finally, able to get away back to his base, but it is a 5v4 that Rox Tigers secure the middle inhibitor with.
And how many fights have we seen Rox Tigers get away with slivers of health? And while it is attractive to just say, EDG should be finishing these kills, Rox Tigers do know their limits, and they are very slippery dodging skill shots towards the end of fights.
Most of them know their limits. Peanut actually went for an insect play with no kick available, so that was a little bit awkward. Ended up being a zoning ward jump, I guess you could say. That's the nicest way to put it. Bit of a mess up there, but it worked. They got the inhibitor. They got what they came for.
At the end of the day, they get the turret, the inhibitor, no one dies, and they get a kill on Kuro. So all of those things are completely worth.
Well, it is 11,000 gold that puts Rox Tigers ahead right now. It's a best of 5. There are several more games to play, but right now all the Korean fans can be exceptionally happy at how their team is doing right now. Once again, look at the play on Scout. He is able to dodge some of the skill shots and actually flash away for a few more seconds. Maybe Peanut finds the re-engage. In fact, might just do so. Flash to Q, gets the kill with the kick. Nicely done there by Peanut, turning one in. And Edward Gaming is still the one-man show. Deft doing almost half of his team's damage this game. No one else pitching in enough. Might
have been surprised to see that kick damage. Of course, there's a serrated jerk in the inventory of Peanut. Why not? Going to work towards them more. He's tanky enough with these pseudo-tank items that he's picked up, and that's a third Mountain Drake, so if they even just put down some traps, taking a turret is going to be trivial.
Yeah, that's 30% additional true damage on objectives like turrets, Phreak, and Baron. So very easy pushing for prey. And as far as the side lanes are concerned, EDG has done that extra +1 that they didn't need to on a lot of these waves. They're getting the wave pushed out, and then they're going one step too far, and it's leading to pick after pick. They still have pretty good wave clear, though.
They do, and they have Scout back up in about 5 seconds, and Realm warping outside of your own base after level 11 to find a flank play is definitely an attractive option for breaking sieges. The Baron buff has timed out, and maybe EDG find that opening.
Yeah, based on the 13,000 gold difference, EDG needs to land a substantial amount of poke before they try a Realm Warp play. Otherwise, they get obliterated. The problem with that, Rox has more poke, so generally EDG will always be lower on health.
See Smeb doing a lot of work with this one. Kuro also holding the front line quite nicely. On this Aurelion Sol durable enough to make it scary. ClearLove running on the team, getting nothing done for it. Kuro's dominating. A nice ulti by Gorilla disengages. It's already 2 kills picked up for Rox Tigers with what could be the end game push right now. 35 minutes in, triple Mountain Drake, 5 versus 3 for 40 seconds. Looking now for Nexus turrets, looking to be another team into the semifinals. If they can do this and more, the 3-man defense. Meiko not long for this world. Exhaust is not enough. The dive out of the fountain. Peanut nearly loses his life for it. Was able to safeguard back away. The flash to re-engage, looking for a little bit more damage, and it's still only 2 members alive. Edward Gaming will not be able to defend this one. Scout's gonna lose his life at the end of it all. Deft, the last man standing. Nexus falls. Rox Tigers convincingly take down game 1.
Welcome back to the big stage, Rox Tigers. They had a 5-game slumber, but 3 games in a row, they've looked like the team that captured everyone's hearts, finally took down an LCK championship, and have finally shown up at Worlds.
Exactly. They were feasting on Kuro in the top lane in this game. Peanut and Smeb made repeated visits up there. Not to mention, Kuro was also on a strong champion that could have impact in the game and not get pushed into the laning phase. I really loved their draft as well as their play this game because they were shoving almost every single lane, and then when they needed to transition it to the big advantage, they did.
And it means so much going forward as well, especially on blue side. When they're on blue side, you're on red side, you have to ban Elise in Italy. Now you have Aurelion Sol. Now you have a champion you have to ban from Kuro. Always the afterthought when you're drafting against the Rox Tigers. The Aurelion Sol looked much more on point this time than last time. Clearly been practicing. And that's another headache for EDG.
Yeah, and when I look at the side of EDG, they did draft themselves into a bit of a losing situation that would require them to play their way out of it because most of their lanes were getting shoved in. And you're thinking that ClearLove was put in a very bad situation because he couldn't make ganks happen if his lanes are pushed in. But at the end of the day, he has to play better mechanically. So many missed axes and missed kills because of mechanical misplays did cost EDG pretty heavily in this game. So I wonder if they go for the Olaf again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because Edward Gaming, as much as they are about the bottom lane, it felt like the bottom lane was the only players even playing well in this game. Deft actually obliterated the damage charts, nearly triple what his mid laner did. 31,000 damage from the Ezreal, 11k from the Ryze. This was a first pick red side Ryze. This was a high priority champion. Like, yes, we secured Scout this Ryze pick, and he did absolutely nothing. He made a roam happen, I guess, to be fair.
Yep.
And with those 2 kills, he did less damage than the 1 in 5 Kuro in the top lane, did a third of the damage of his AD carry, and it feels like more if EDG needed to step up. Either way, though, a beautiful game from Rox Tigers. A great way to start the series for sure. So now, let's send it on to the analyst desk to break down that Tigers game win.